Reitmeyer with GCExperts, the federal contracts guy.
What's going on, Sean?
Not a whole lot, but it's not every day I get a text message as passionate as the one I just got from you.
Is that right?
Yeah. Tell me what's going on.
Oh, Sean, I'm gonna be straight shooter with you. Believe you are too. Do you believe without a shadow of a doubt that your step-by-step process works?
So, if you're asking me that question, here's how I'm going to answer that. I'm not going to just give you a yes no. And if you spend enough time watching my videos, you know there's reasons behind everything.
Uh-huh.
What kind of business are you in?
The painting industry, painting and plumbing.
Okay, so let's just talk about that for a minute. If you go out tomorrow and you get a $20,000 plumbing contract, and you go home and you put it in your filing cabinet, the contract that you got, can anybody on the street, in your neighborhood, in your city, can anybody walk into your house, open up your filing cabinet and go, holy crap, Granson, you got a $20,000 contract?
No, I mean it's there, but they can't just walk to my door and open up the drawer and take it. You know what I mean?
That's right, because it's private. Okay?
Right.
Now, but if I go get a contract with the federal government, is that private or is that public?
Public.
That's right. Anybody gets to see, we the people get to see how our federal government spends money. Okay? Now that you understand that, do you think I would ever lie about any contract I ever got?
Oh no, no.
But why? Why wouldn't I lie?
I don't believe you a lie.
But specifically
Based on,
why? Because somebody could go look it up and call me a liar because it's
that's right.
public information. Do you agree?
I agree.
Okay. Now, the people that I teach this program to, when they get a federal contract, is that public or private?
It's public as well, isn't it?
It's absolutely 100% public. So, do you think I would ever lie about any contract they've ever gotten?
No.
Absolutely not, because somebody could look it up and call me a liar. So then the only question becomes, do I believe in my stuff? It doesn't matter whether I believe in it or you believe in it or not. If you see a video of a guy that says, holy shit, Sean's the best, but underneath his video is a link to the public profile of the contracts that he's gotten, okay, is that proof?
100% that's proof. Absolutely.
Okay, that's what you need to believe in. Because look, at the end of the day, if you watch my stuff, you'll know I'm never trying to sell my stuff to anybody. You and you alone are responsible for your future. You only have to make two decisions when you have a conversation with me. Number one, you got to decide, is this guy full of shit? Because if you decide I'm full of shit, there's no reason to go any further. Number two, am I the kind of guy you want to work with in this world of federal government construction? Because personalities are different. I'm not a coddler. I'm not the guy who goes, oh, Granson, it's okay. You'll get the next one. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy that says, this is what you need to do. And if you don't know what you're supposed to do next, pick up the phone and call me. And by the way, let me ask you a question. How hard was it for you to get a hold of me?
It wasn't very hard, but I have a question for you.
Go for it.
So, in this line of business, I understand that like you're proven, right? And proven because everything is public record with whoever decides to do business with you, correct?
Correct.
Now, you're a businessman. I'm a businessman. Be straight shooter. Do I have all the finances up front? No. Potentially, but no. Would you say, hey, Granson, look, I'm willing to work with you. I believe your cost is $5,000. You land me my first contract, we'll double it, 10 grand. Would you still work with me?
That assumes that I'm in it for the money, and then the question would also be why.
No, hold on. That's an assumption, sir.
That's right. I agree. It's an assumption. Hey, I agree with
that's
you.
That's an assumption. And the truth of the matter is, hey, I believe in what I can do. I'm gonna help somebody out. This guy's not gonna run. This guy's a straight shooter. He talked to me. He's trusting me just as if I would trust him with 5 grand up front. You know what I mean? For the service. You know what? How's the trust on the other end around? Do you believe if you help a guy like me get a contract, that I'll say, hey, here's some cash right here. We finish the contract. I'll double what you wanted up front, and you did a great deed helping someone get on their way.
Granson, I get probably 4 phone calls like that a week. So let me just tell you what I tell the other people. That when you get phone calls like that, you got to understand that I'm taking probably 20 phone calls a week total. And many of those calls are guys that do, one of them is just I had last week. Guy does $100 million in roofing work a year. $100 million. He actually yelled at me and said, why is this only 5,000? Why isn't it 25,000? Okay. And so different companies and different people are at different places in their life and in their career. Okay? But I can't treat you any differently than I would treat them. It wouldn't be fair. It's not fair to the guy that it was his last $5,000. And then he joins the program, goes through the classes, and then, as an example, Joel got, I think, $200,000 worth of profit if you listen to his latest post on YouTube. And look, understand that GCExperts didn't exist when I was coming up in business. There was no such thing as GCExperts. I figured all this stuff out over 3 decades. You can figure all this out. There's nothing that I can teach you that you can't figure out over time. Does that make sense?
100%. And that's why I said I'll double the 5 grand. We'll make it 10.
That's just, look, if you don't have the money today, I don't care. I don't care if you call me tomorrow. I don't care if you call me 3 months from now. I don't care if you call me 3 years from now. Just set aside $200 a month, okay? And just set it aside. Look, federal government construction is not going to go anywhere. There's no emergency. They're spending $1 billion a day. You can look it up. The federal budget for federal government construction. Just Google it. There is no rush. You're never going to hear from me, and Granson, if you get in by the end of September, this is the deal that we're going to make. You're never going to hear that shit. Okay? There is.
Question for you.
Go ahead.
Was the government just announcing that they're going to be not putting a hold, almost a shutdown on like billions of dollars worth of work? How does that affect next year's contract when the fiscal year is just about to close out and there's not a budget set for 2026 fiscal year?
Okay, so first of all, there is a budget. It just hasn't been approved. Okay, but that doesn't change the fact that if the water heater goes out in a barracks, they're not going to make the soldiers take cold showers. They already have money in place to handle construction goods and services. Okay? So now there are different priority levels. In other words, when they do a government shutdown, and I've been through probably half a dozen of them over the last 20 years, you'll find that some procurement officials do have to go home and others don't. It depends on what the mission ready status is of the actual office. There's 10,000 contracting officers out there, procurement officials that issue federal contracts. Okay, as an example, Fort Hood. Okay, they got a bunch of contracting officers up there. What city state? Where are you at?
California.
Okay, but where in California?
Like near Merced, Fresno area, the Central Valley of
Okay,
California.
Fresno area, Northern California. So you've got Sierra Army Depot up there. You've got the National Park Service up there. You've got the federal courthouse in San Francisco up there. You got all the post offices up there. The post office doesn't shut down when there's a government shutdown. Okay, you still have, think of all the air conditioning, or in your case, the painting and the plumbing. Okay, all that stuff still has to be maintained, repaired. All those are federal contracts. It's so much bigger than what people can even imagine. You know, if I asked you, name me some federal government agencies, what comes to your mind?
uh, National Parks, National Forest Registries, DMVs. Uh,
Okay,
yeah,
that's okay.
lots.
Look, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just saying, if you ask the average person, they can actually name off the top of their head two or three or four. But when you talk to a guy like me, listen to this. You got the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the National Park Service, the National Forest Service, the Bureau of Land Management, the Coast Guard, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Army, Space Force, federal courthouses, United States Department of Agriculture, the Environmental Protection Service. Okay, do you see how easy those roll off my tongue?
Yeah.
There's there's 500 of them, 496 federal government agencies. They all own buildings. The EPA, you can look it up. The EPA has 11,000 buildings.
So let me ask you a question. How long does it take when someone buys your program for them to actually line a contract with the submitting the paperwork, getting approved, and actually getting the work? How long is that process? I know what I mean.
That's right. Everybody's different. So I can just
Yes,
tell you the average. The average is about 90 days.
about 90 days to close on a contract.
Yep. Now, the second, third, and fourth are way easier than the first. Like in most cases, once they get the first one, the second, third, and fourth come within weeks, not months.
Really?
Yes.
And that is a net 30. How does
It's
the government work?
net
Right?
14. They pay in 14 days.
Oh, they pay in 14 days.
Yep, it's called the Federal Prompt Payment Act, and you can Google that and read it.
Okay. Okay. And what was your line of work when you did it?
You tell me a type of construction, and I'll tell you what I did and where I did it. Name any type of construction you can think of.
And was that in-house or subbing it out?
95% of it was subbed out.
And you were still able to make a decent amount on the jobs that you subbed out. The government pays that well to where, I,
Name a type of construction, and I'll give you, if you want, I'll give you public sources so you can verify what I tell you.
gas pipe welding.
Gas pipe welding, done that all over the place. Typically for boilers. Okay, the last one that I did like that was up at Huron, South Dakota, and we did I want to say a 250,000 BTU British thermal unit gas pipe boiler, and I had a local mechanical sub go out there and pull it out and put it in. Name another one.
Wind turbines.
Okay, so I've done 2 wind turbines. One for NASA and one for the Navy. Which one do you want to know about?
Both of them.
Okay, in Natick, Massachusetts, that's about 45 minutes west of Boston. The Navy has they the Navy has uniforms.
Yes.
Before they put the uniforms into production, they want to test the uniforms. Okay, so they test different uniforms before they start making thousands of them. So they needed what's called a climatic wind tunnel, meaning that it's a wind tunnel where they can put soldiers in there in different situations, but they need to be able to control the climate because a Navy SEAL might be operating in the desert, but he might also be operating in the cold mountains and snow. And so they want to test the uniforms. So that wind tunnel that we built for the Navy, it had to go from 0 to 16-mile-an-hour wind. It had to go from 0 to 105, maybe 110 degrees Fahrenheit. It had to go from 0 to 95% relative humidity. We controlled that with what's called a Munter's desiccant dryer. And so it was a $2 million contract. I'm going from memory here. That was about 1998. Um, and and so that was Natick, Massachusetts. So that was a climatic wind tunnel. And then the one we did for the Navy. You've seen wind tunnels on TV before?
Yeah.
That was Navy. The one for NASA. So the wind tunnel. If you ever saw the movie Hidden Figures about those three black women that did all the math stuff for NASA, that was building, I think, 634. Don't quote me on that, but it's at NASA there in Langley, and we got the contract to remove refrigerant from the wind tunnel. So, do you know what refrigerant is?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
refrigerant for your AC unit, they would fill that whole wind tunnel with refrigerant, which sounds crazy, but the reason that they do that is because they can run the fan uh, at lower speeds, but because the refrigerant is thicker than air, they could achieve supersonic velocities at subsonic speeds. It's denser. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
the problem is you can't send somebody into the wind tunnel, because they can't breathe refrigerant in order to change the model. So we had to develop a 17-stage compressor system to remove refrigerant from the wind tunnel, and then certify it as safe before somebody could go in there. And then obviously you do the reverse process because I don't know if you knew this, but you can compress refrigerant into a liquid.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's it's gaseous form at no pressure used in the wind tunnel, but when you compress it, you can compress it back into a liquid. So we had all the storage tanks and all that kind of stuff. So that's two wind tunnel jobs. Are you getting the idea here that I'm not full of shit?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm getting the idea. And like 90 days typically for the first contract to go through. Roughly. That's an estimate.
Yep.
Could be longer.
Could be shorter. I mean, I've got 5 guys that have been in my program that won the first job that they ever bid. So I mean, but look, I don't guarantee. Fucking nobody can guarantee anybody in this world a federal government contract. All I can tell you is that do your research. Is the guy you're talking to? Can he prove what he says? You know, it is does it seem like I'm the kind of guy that will go to bat for you, that will have your back every step of the way? Like, that's the kind of shit that's the most important.
Well, that's what I'm looking for, yeah. Hey, boss, I'm walking into a meeting right now. Let me give you a call back, can I?
Yep, this is my personal cell phone.
Okay, I'll give you a call back.
Bye bye.